all very much. So, Russian River Health Center is here to take care of anyone in the community who needs care. And we understand that there are many situations that impact on a person's health, and that one of those circumstances is lack of housing. This is why we recently applied for and received additional federal funding to support healthcare for the homeless services. Our plan has been to co-locate with the County Homeless Services Center when it is established, and we're interested in being part of the solution to addressing and preventing homelessness in this community. It can't be done in isolation. It takes the entire community and all of our partners, and that's why we're here tonight. So thank you.
Mary, thank you, and to the other panelists for the updates. I think that this is really the meaty part of the discussion tonight is what follows. And once again, I'd like to ask that we convey our concerns, our issues, our questions, or solutions and suggestions in as respectful or civil manner as we can. I recognize many communities here. This is not just the town of Guerneville that's represented. I see members from Monterey. I see members here from Rio Neto. I think I even see members here from Forestville, from Villa Grande, and other hamlets, Castledera, and other hamlets. So again, I think this recognizes not only the geographic concern that we have represented here in this room, but the fact that this is an issue that is not isolated to any one town. It certainly is geographically, but again, this is an issue, quite frankly, that is very real in other communities, not only throughout the county, but also throughout the state of the nation. So with that, I do have speaker cards here that have been brought forward. I think I counted about 150. Okay, so I'm going to start now. And if we could ask you, if I call your name and if I butcher it, please forgive me in advance. If you can come up here to the podium, there's a microphone here so other folks can hear the question, the suggestion, and the item that you're speaking to. So we're going to get right to it. And Krista, you're going to be my timekeeper here. I would not make her unhappy. She may charge you twice at Boone. Okay, we're going to start with Robert Farron. Here, if Robert, could you come forward? Are you here, Robert? Is this a question that you'd like to convey to the panel? And it's going to be followed by Max Handley, followed by Jamie Hart, who is a fond Facebook friend of mine, for the record. Jamie, I see your Facebook post and I appreciate the comments.
Hello, my name is Robert Farron. I'm a radio health nurse. I'm a behavioral health nurse in Napa County, California, and I just want to know where all the funding that's supposed to be funneled out to West County Mental Health Services is going. The facility there is supposed to be funded for 3 employees for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and it seems to me like it's never open. I see the Empowerment Center open next door. I've only ever seen somebody walk out of the West County Mental Health Services once. So where is that money going?
Okay, Robert, thank you for that question. I can tell you that we do have a mental health office downtown that has been situated. It has been staffed for some time. To the more specific question as to the allocation of resources, I will be the first to say that there are not enough resources, and this is federal, state, or even local resources that are specific to mental health. I can just give you an additional anecdote. Recently, we applied through the Sheriff's Office and received funding through SB 863 for a wing that is behavioral in mind, specifically addressing mental health issues within the jail. So, you know, there really is a change in dynamic, and I will be very sincere. This is an area where not only do we see a lack of resources, but I think a lack of understanding of the significant need for financial resources. So we do have an office in Guerneville. We do have individuals that are providing services. But if you have specific ideas, specific as to how we can do that better in partnership with other community-based organizations, it's certainly appreciated. Okay. So we're going to move to Max Handley and then Jamie Hart, followed by Dana. I believe it's done or done.
Well, from what I've heard this evening, it seems like we might be short of help in the sheriff's department. In other words, we might not have enough men to cover all the issues that we're confronted with. And I don't know if it goes by population or just how they figure out how many sheriffs we need to cover this area. What can we do as a community to get more help in that area if we need it?
Mr. Hammond, that's a great question, and I'll defer to Sheriff Freitas. I certainly can opine for the county, but the sheriff, if you could maybe speak to that.
Yeah, first, and not to be anywhere corrective or adversarial, but it's men and women. As I should say. Sheriff's offices in general, not just Sonoma County, struggle with how to get your folks to most places. There's times, I don't know right now if the Sea Ranch deputies on duty, but there could be a call as far away as Annapolis. It could be the deputies here from the substation. That would be the nearest deputies. I worked in this substation 20 years ago, and I remember going on calls from the substation, driving for an hour. You're still not there. Geography is a challenge for us. Absolutely. The problem is, it's the amount of calls for service, not population-based. You mentioned population. You need those deputies there when you have that call, right? But then if you don't, how do you do those resources? Larkfield has almost like 10,000 people, so you put more deputies there. So we try and spread them out geographically around the county as best we can, so we're there when those true emergencies happen. Where that doesn't work the best, it doesn't work the best for your basic nuisance crime, where no one's getting hurt, or this is happening, because they could be busier doing other things, these priority one calls. And that is a challenge we're going to continue to face. A lot of people lose sight of, probably not here in Greenville, but 90% of Sonoma County, which is by far the largest of all the Bay Area counties, 90% is unincorporated. And so I know, it's shocking, isn't it? 90% of almost 1,700 square miles is unincorporated. And at any one time, we have anywhere from 15 to 20 deputies out there. And so we spread them around the county, mainly geographically, not so much population-based. And how to get more of them? That is something that we've talked about, that some of you who watch me publicly have gone and talked about hiring people, being able to recruit people, retain people. I did mention that the Greenville sub is down 3 people from where it was with the budget cuts. If we can get back to those, I would plan on putting those people back there, absolutely.
But thank you, Sheriff.
That brings up another issue that I wanted to address is, how do you become incorporated? I mean, is that a big issue? I would assume it is.
We'll be spending the next hour on that subject matter alone. I'm going to stay away from that one tonight. Thank you. Jamie Hart to Dana. Jamie, good to see you.
Hi, everybody, friends, neighbors, the panel. There's quite a few things I'd like to touch on here. I feel like everything's getting a little glossed over. First of all, I think one thing all of us want to know is, where did this 5 to quote-unquote 1,000% increase in homeless people actually come from? Because they weren't here last year. And I've spoken at length with multiple deputies who I've known throughout the years that work on this river, and this is their beat, and every one of them has said to me and all of my neighbors that they are specifically told not to arrest or enforce crimes against the homeless. They have no money to pay fines. You don't want them in your jail. The DA says, don't bother with them. Now, our deputies, who were there when our kid broke her arm, were there when my business got robbed, or were there when there was a car accident and we were helping them flag. They're part of our community, and we know them a hell of a lot better than we know you. And when they're telling us that they have specific instructions not to enforce laws on the vagrants and the homeless that we've been flooded with, who do we believe? Do we believe you, Jill, or do we believe these men that have worked side by side with us in our community for 20 years?
There were 2 or 3 questions here. I'm going to ask Sheriff Freitas, District Attorney Ravage, and Lieutenant Burnett to maybe touch on that one. And John Hay.
Let me start first. So, I I know from me, right, and I will openly admit, there's a lot of people between me and your deputy there. The sheriff's office is about 800 people.
Good people.
The vast majority are good people trying to do their best, absolutely. No way around it, just like the people in this room. So, I have never given anybody instruction, don't enforce crimes on the homeless. I will say what Al said, homelessness is not a crime. Vagrancy is no longer a crime.
So,
I will tell you what, if you and me don't get it done here, I'll give you my number, we can have all the talks you want, but let me try it, right? Loitering is no longer a crime in California. Loitering is standing around the sidewalk. So I hope what they're saying is they don't have the tools to arrest people like they used to. But to be told that we're not going to arrest a homeless person if they commit a crime, that doesn't come from me. What I would encourage you to do, and I'm glad that you have a relationship with your deputies. If any deputy tells you, I was told not to arrest this person specifically even though they commit a crime, we need to have that talk so I can fix that. The second thing is no deputy should ever tell you, I'm not going to arrest this person because I think what the DA may or may not do. That's not our job, right? Our job is to make the arrest or do the action, and then the job of the district attorney is her job. So as an excuse of, I'm not going to do this because the DA may not file, if you're telling me that's happening, that's not okay with me and we need to fix that.
so my other question is, where did this come from? Somebody's got to know where this massive flux came from, and a lot of homeless people on the river are saying that they've been given bus tickets from Petaluma, Santa Rosa Shelter, Petaluma Sheriff, or your other communities sending their problems to us because we're Sonoma County's dumping ground?
No, let me answer that question. Excuse me, please give me the floor. Part of the whole program is new inception here in Sonoma County. One of the issues that's come up that we just after our first year that we're learning is this. Like I said earlier, our pilot area was a Roseland area, immediate downtown Santa Rosa. If you go there now, the homeless population that was once there is pretty much no longer there. Let me explain what we're learning from this. Again, as I told you, we have 2,500 homeless people here. They have to go somewhere. So what we're learning is, even though other issues have cleaned up certain areas, because of the housing and other issues, there's no place for them to go. So they've migrated out to the county area. We've seen a huge population.
Well, we want you to take them back.
Well, here's the situation that you need to understand. We're talking about a major problem here in your community. It's not just here in the Gurnville River area. It's in Santa Rosa, Petaluma, it's throughout the county. And you need to understand that we're working very hard to try to resolve the issue, but it's bigger than just what the sheriff's department can do.
But it wasn't our problem, and now it is.
It is our problem too, and we're addressing it as best we can. If anybody in this room has a solution for me, like the sheriff said, all me and my guests, and I'd be glad, it's a community effort that we're working hard
Then
on.
go get your program, work it up here, and they move back to Santa Rosa.
You need to understand that one of the issues that's going to happen, just like we're learning from the Santa Rosa area, the business owners up there, you can talk about by Brickaway Boulevard, you're going to have to be extremely patient with this process. It's on the way. It isn't going to go away tomorrow. It's not going to go away in a month. It's going to take years to resolve this issue. You just have to understand.
Unfortunately, this population isn't going to be patient, so everybody be prepared. I have one more question for the sheriff.
Really clear. I said it before and I say it again. I have not put out any orders that we will not file cases on anybody who has committed a particular class of
Well,
crime.
that's good to know.
And
Everybody
so-
in this room is going to start sending you video,
That's
footage,
right.
and calling the police, and
Jamie,
we're all going to fight.
You are familiar with deputy sheriffs who you say are telling that to you, then get their names and report it to their boss and report it to me, and we'll make sure that
Throw my guys under the bus. Sheriff, can I ask you one more question, Sheriff? Really fast.
I'm going to go to Dana, please. Jamie, I'll just stick around. No, Dana, thank you. I'm going to go to Dana and... Dana Dunning or Dana Dunn? No? Okay. We're going to go to Christine, I believe it's Christine Laporte. Laporte? Christine? Is Christine coming? Okay, and following Steve Whitmer. Yeah, so
One
so
question.
Dana, Christine, Steve, Jonathan, pardon me, Steve Whitmer, Jonathan, Dwayne, and Scott Kersner. If you guys can start making your way up so we can try and get through these as best we can.
Okay, one question was partially answered. So essentially, if I understood you right, it is about the more times I call when there's problems, the more chances that I have of getting more deputies. Is that, can we simplify it? Because I often don't call because I know you're not going to get there in time and that's not your fault. You know, when I'm outside and there's somebody doing 100 miles an hour on Main Street, and yes, I've seen them, and doing all of these fancy maneuvers, well, there's no sheriff in sight. Now I understand why. But now, if I call it in, and I keep calling this kind of asinine stuff in because it is dangerous, does that mean it helps you get more deputies?
So first I would say, if you see something, you should call. There's going to be times spent for a speeding violation. First of all, that would be the higher patrol, but the deputies would help if we're all on the same radio. So you should call, because yes, that keeps statistics of what services we need because people are calling. Sometimes there could be someone around the corner. So I would always encourage people, and I hear what you said a lot, we don't want to bother the deputies. We like our deputies, they're great, we see them, we don't want to bother them.
Exactly.
Bother us is what I would encourage you. Those calls tell us what's happening. And so I would encourage you to call. Will that mean you'll get more deputies? I don't. Although I do the resources in the sheriff's office, to get my budget increased and more deputies, I truly can't control that. But we do put the deputies where the resources are needed, and some of that does go to not population, but calls for service, yes.
Okay.
Tell us the number to call.
Yes, yeah, the proper number to call. So if someone is getting beat up, you see a car run into a telephone pole and it's on fire, someone's hurt, right? You call 911, right? If you're on your cell phone out here, that should work in theory. The best number to call, if you're worried about your cell phone, is 565-2121.
Okay.
Don't call the substation. There might not be anybody there to answer your call. Then you're going to listen to all the voice stuff about you want to do this, you want to do that, right? 565-2121 will always get you directly to a person that can get you immediately to a deputy.
So I'm going to go
And I would like to ask just a quick related question.
Okay.
Is that, one thing I'd like to ask you is,
Please.
you were quoted in the newspaper as saying that our busing the homeless out is not a solution. Did you also tell that to Santa Rosa when we started busing them
So
out?
the answer, this is not the first time I've heard that I personally am busing people into town.
No, I'm not saying you're personally busing them. You said that was not our solution. Well, it shouldn't be Santa Rosa's solution either.
If I could speak to that, because this is an issue. Okay, nobody at the county is sanctioning any transit or transportation program to move or relocate anybody from one community to another. Now, I will be very sincere here in Lower Russian River. When I get calls from Forestville and Rio Nilo and other communities to deal with encampment issues on their creeks, on their watersheds, and their immediate properties, it's like a water balloon where you squeeze on one end and it grows on the other. We're not busing, I can tell you. I live in Southwest Santa Rosa. The other community I represent in Roseland that currently has a camp, not a sanctioned camp, at the Roseland Village. I got a phone call the other day from the Roseland School principal that almost was the same to the tune from the phone call I got from concerns here in Gurnville with similar issues. So, no, we are not busing anybody, and I'm going to go to the
Well,
next
somebody
speaker.
is, because if you
Okay.
ask them where they're from, they'll tell you I was bused from Petaluma, I was bused from Santa Rosa.
Okay.
We actually talked to the homeless
Okay,
people.
so I'm going to go to Steve Whitmer, Jonathan Donnie, Scott Kersner, and Cynthia Dawson. So if you guys can start making your way up here, thank you. If you guys can start making your way up here, please. Christine, that was Christine. Steve Whitmer, Jonathan Donnie, Scott Kersner. Your name is called, please come up here. Cynthia Dawson and Susie Kerr.
Scott Kersner, I live outside of Gurnville, but so do a lot of people that are in this room that aren't necessarily part of the downtown situation, but we still concern about what is actually being done to move forward on providing some kind of shelter for the homeless. We have many issues that it has to be 1 mile out of town. If you're from the merchants, it has to be closer into town. If you're talking about the solution is going to be what it's always been, the vets building. Can anyone shed light on when we are likely to come up with an actual site and what that is going to be like?
So I'm going to defer to John. Hey, John, if you can keep it to a minute and a half so we can go to the next meeting.
We're moving forward with investigation of the primary site that was recommended to the Board of Supervisors and the Board of Commission several months ago. That's out of George's Hideaway at this point.
So noted.
If for some reason that site is not found to be appropriate or feasible, the next site in line is the community church on Counrty. We identified 4 sites, and they were listed and brought forward in the Board of Supervisors public session. We're doing our best to find an appropriate location with appropriate safeguards for the community. We haven't picked anything firmly, and no deal has been struck. We're working through our choices, and we're determining feasibility 1 through 4. If anybody's interested in information, I'm happy to stay after and talk to you. Jim Letty's also in the audience, and we're looking forward to proceeding.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next speaker. Once again, Steve Whitmer, Jonathan Downey or Donnie, Cynthia Dawson, Susie Kerr, Carolyn Ethel, Pat Mueller, in that order. That's it.
Hi, I'm a low-life homeless person. I'm only at 4 months to stay last, this is our last project. House that was only a $15 million house. There's a lot of wealth and talent in some of the homeless. There's some homeless and there's some homeless. It's just like nobody wants a garbage dump in their house, or nobody wants a nuclear plant by their house. It's got to be this and only this for our house. We're humans. We can't even find a place. I'm arguing with the city of Santa Rosa, and the church, one of the churches I represent, is offering to give us a porta potty. And they're still giving us a porta potty because it's going to cost money to have it. And the other thing about, also, I work with Catholic Church and all sorts of stuff. Tomorrow I'm going to start looking for a free ride to Greenville. I've heard rumors that they came from Napa. We're running around the Napa. Part of our problem with the homeless is we have a lot of certified nuts that the government, because of greed, turn loose on the streets. The other thing is, if you guys are hurting for funds, Catholic charities have no money, you know, God, new cars, why do you cap on some of that? Everyone who's Social Security number gets $1,100. So why do they look at some of that stuff? They got so much, they're rich and organized. Number 2 is, yes, the ones messing up the rivers and stuff, they are bad. Arrest them, because they're going to go back to the next one. The streets here, the ones down the river. There's some hopeless, get them out, because they're even harming us. I can't sleep anywhere because I'm going to be living off by a fellow homeless person. That's just the way we are. We're struggling to survive. And look, if you don't have, how many gas stations? Now, I haven't seen any buses busing anybody to any city, but I don't think I can go very far to find a gas station that says no purchase, no toilet.
Okay.
So it's greed. Our government is cutting down the police and everything else. I've known 19 people just got an eviction notice, 30 days. Their option is $600 down because the rent went up for HUD, $300. And every single one of them on Section 8. So you want to know where the homeless people are coming from? And we are people, by the way. By greed.
Sure, thank you. I'm going to take the next speaker. If you could just tell me, you can give me your first name or so I can know who's coming and who's not coming. If you don't feel comfortable, you can say pass.
Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia.
I'm a California resident, 4th generation. Started in San Francisco, my grandmother.
Moved out to Oakland, out to Richmond, out to Sonoma County in '68. Okay? We had in San Francisco a whole lot of nice people, and then we had World War I, and they came in with the shipyards. And we brought in everybody from the South that was illiterate, and then after World War I and World War II, we decided we'll send them all to Oakland. Well, we can see how all that public housing worked out really good in Oakland. We have generations and generations and generations, and we also have a lot in San Francisco still, which they're shipping out to Sonoma County and East Contra Costa County and all other counties, because now that's getting owned by all the rich computer geeks that are moving into San Francisco. We do not need public housing out here. It's opening the door for more assisted housing and other public housing, and you do not want to open that door. It ends up being a huge problem. Talk to the police out in Miami. They are outnumbered by the homeless 1,000,000,000. They can't handle it anymore. We have way too many homeless out here. They don't need to be in town. I had one take out his thing and piss right in front of me, in front of the Safeway. Okay? We don't need that. If you're going to come in with housing, which I strongly disagree, make it way the hell out of town. And then maybe put in a food bank out there.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thompson. Once again, Susie Burr, Carolyn Neville, Pam Mueller, and Richard Lester. In that order, please come forward.
I'm fine. I recently took over the ownership of Andorno's Pizza, which is directly off the plaza. And prior to that, I've worked there for 15 years. So all of this is not old, not new to me. My main concern is the fact that people on a daily basis sit at, well, now we have a fence, but they would sit at our front tables, deal drugs, do drugs, sell drugs, and there's a constant intoxication. They drink out there freely, they smoke out there freely. I call the sheriffs practically daily. We have a security guard who basically told me they were told not to do anything. My main concern is just the fact that we're trying to better this town. You say that we've raised, the expectations of the town. I happen to have a business that is not on the main street. I don't have the luxury of people walking by my front door. So we're trying to do things to attract them to come across the street. We're putting in a new outdoor beer garden patio, which was posted, which has been in the works for over 3 years. It has been paid for. It has cost lots of money, lots of meetings, and it is not free like many people seem to think it is. I will then be leasing it back from the county. So I'm asking the county as my landlord, what are they going to do to make sure that I can have a thriving business and work my ass off every day, 7 days a week, so that I won't become one of the statistics and a homeless person also.